Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Wednesday night. Tonight, we give you the coverage of the WSSR VRS Cup Series as we have inching closer and closer to the end of the regular season. We find ourselves with our second road course of the season. The field's ready. Are they prepared? As we get to test out the new physics update that we got about a month ago with our first road course since then. Drivers been stating it's going to be a tough one. The bounces on the track, the bouncing for the cars. Who can keep their vehicle pointed straight? It's going to be the key thing here this evening as Season 11, Race 10 is ready for racing action here at Charlotte as we find ourselves at Charlotte Roval. It's the Roval Showdown presented by SG_Racing. Check them out today at SG_Racing everywhere where you can see Samuel Garcia's point of view of all of his racing action. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining with us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me up at the booth is Richard Wolsifer. And Richard, exciting action tonight. It's the Roval, our second road course of the season. And a lot of drivers are going to be excited to hear this. We are missing one of our specialists in the road course. Gavin Rogers is not here.
Yeah, Gavin Rogers deciding not to test out Roval in this new update. A lot of the drivers have been out there complaining the car seems even more stiff than what it did before. The suspension seems a lot more stiff, so the car's going to bounce a lot more than what it used to. So if they hit those curbs, they hit those turtles, what we like to call them, especially in that backstretch chicane, the car's going to bounce. It's going to get very, very, very unsettled, and the car just feels extremely tight. So it's going to be a really big challenge for these drivers tonight. And like you said, Gavin not wanting to participate in this tonight, feels like the car is not feeling right. So he's going to take the night off, and lucky for him, that will more than likely be his drop week for this season. But a break for him, but the other drivers coming out here to test it out and see what they can do and see if they can conquer this new update here at the Roval.
Smaller field than we usually have. About 26 drivers have registered up so far this evening. We got a minute and a half left in practice before you head into a 10-minute qualifying session. So drivers are getting their last little bits of speed in. Currently, your top 5 fastest drivers from practice currently, it's Zach Hall, top of the board with a 1 minute and 19.4 second time. Jarrett Talmadge, second fastest. Vincent Sora, the driver that won here the last time we raced at the Roval back in Season 6. He is currently third fastest. Thomas Green, fourth fastest, and finishing out the top 5, it's the 13 Hello Kitty machine of Cedric Hunter. Some of those drivers known, Zach Hall, Cedric Hunter, they need strong runs and performances here tonight to propel them into a more comfortable position for the playoff. For Cedric, he's currently enters tonight 13th in points, but Zach Hall, a win here tonight, Richard, it could really change his fate on trying to propel himself into the playoffs.
Yeah, if Zach Hall can squeak out a win here at the Roval tonight, it will put the rest of this season on calm for him because, I mean, racing to try to get into that top 16 to enter into the playoffs for your chance of taking home the championship. I mean, it's stressful when you don't have a win. You're trying to fight for everybody, trying to get up to that top 16 and inch every point you can get out of these races. So once you get that win, it definitely puts your nerves on ease because that'll guarantee you your spot in the playoffs.
As you see on screen, Vincent Sora, Cedric Hunter, taking a little bit of a look around in the garage area with iRacing giving all their new updates. Some of the tracks you're able to adventure a little bit further into the infield as they continue on their adventures. But we are about to be entering into qualifying as drivers here tonight will have 2 laps to put down their fastest lap in qualifying and 10 minutes to do so. But qualifying, usually when we're talking about ovals, it's be aware of the outside wall, try not to graze the grass on the infield when you're going through the front stretch. Here tonight, you have to stay on the pavement. You don't want to go off course, and Richard, it's going to be tough with especially the chicanes that we are going to be seeing here during this qualifying run.
Yeah, staying on the track is definitely a tough battle for these drivers, especially at the Roval. I mean, road courses in general can be tough, but the Roval is just a whole new monster. You have that tunnel turn going into the infield from the front stretch. It's very narrow. It's an uphill followed by a downhill straight into those next 2 right-hand turns. Kind of high speed, but a little squirrely also on those turns. So those drivers got to be careful. A lot of off-track opportunities here. And as soon as you get all 4 of those tires past those white lines, kind of like what we're seeing right here with Nick Crawford, that generally would be an off-track. I don't think it is right there per se at the Roval, but you get off track, that will completely invalidate your time. And there are a ton of opportunities to lose that chance to put down your qualifying lap here at the Roval.
Your Snowy Desert Racing driver, Nick Crawford, going to be one of the first to try to get this little bit of a warm-up lap in before starting lap number 1. And drivers trying to find their fine-tuned moments. Here's going to be one of the great passing zones for tonight's race. It's on the back stretch at the first chicane, where drivers are going to be really diving it, trying to get to the inside. But those rumble strips, the turtles, we saw the 74 riding over them. That is going to be a tricky spot when drivers are trying to maximize their speed here for qualifying as well during the race. As seeing the 74 last chicane to get by before starting lap number 1. Going a little bit off into that turf on the front stretch, maximizing a little bit of grip down there, but grazing the wall, and going to continue on racing for this lap as the 74 into the Tums corner, and a little bit of an issue for himself, as we're going to be seeing the 74 back out of that lap. We're going to take a closer look at some of these other racing moments. Certainly going to be an interesting thing here tonight, Richard, is how drivers react with their braking points. It looks like drivers are also have been trying to dial in their brake bias.
Yeah, the brake bias is going to be a huge thing for these drivers, because you don't want the brakes to lock up. It's going to help those cars slow down a lot better. Help get the turns going for those cars. Get that car rotated around some of these sharp turns as well, especially coming from the infield back onto the main track. That is a very sharp sort of turn, and trying to get that car rotated is what helps with those brake bias. That brake bias will help get that car turned, so you can get that run down the straightaways into the turns, so you can get as fast as lap as you possibly can.
As drivers are going around the course, it certainly is going to be a fun one as we continue to watch on qualifying. Some drivers already have invalidated their first laps. Some getting their first laps in. It's going to be Samuel Garcia with a 1 minute and 20.6. Take that away. It's Vincent Sora with a 119.8. And it's been interesting to see these drivers with the new update, the new tire model that's been given out. Richard, I know for myself, I believe drivers are looking for this first lap to be their money lap. I'm curious on if maybe there's a little bit of extra speed they can find on the second one with trying to find some extra heat in these tires.
Yeah, that is the biggest thing we've also noticed on the ovals with this most recent update. Their first lap has been the lap that has been the fastest for a lot of these drivers. Now, being this is the first road course these drivers have hit in the league for the new update, we'll have to see if the first lap is going to be their money lap or not. But a lot of drivers have a lot of room of improvement. Vincent Sora sitting at a 119.8. The only driver in the 19s right now. Got a lot more in the 20s than you got into the 21s and in the 22s and 23s. So a lot of times for these drivers to improve. But another driver, John Forbes, taking the pole position away from Vincent Sora now with a 119.6. We'll see if Vinny can come up on the second lap, put on a little bit more time, and get that pole position back.
Trying to find the afterburners and where can you place it, as that one machine has been on rails here recently. Trying to go for another win if possible here for this season, as Nightmare Fuel has been the dominant team, and they are currently 1-2 at this current time. Jared Talmadge going to be down in fifth, and add another one up there. 1, 2, 3 for Nightmare Fuel. It's Thomas Green up to third.
Thomas Green taking out the third position there here in qualifying. Nightmare Fuel just on a tear this season as they take the top 3, but Drew Jua is going to separate them. He's going to take the second place away from Vincent Sora. Drew Jua with a 119.7.
And Drew Jua was finding some sneaky good speed during practice. He started to fall off there late when the track was cooling off. Curious if now he's found that extra pace he was looking for, as Mark Morales in the 91 we saw getting into the outside wall before starting this lap, and able to find some decent pace to be up front, at least for this 91 for himself, is Jared Talmadge, top of the board for the 27. It's a 119.6 for the 27 machine. What a lap by Talmadge. For Mar Morales, though, this 91 team, I think his ultimate goal, top 20, and hope to maybe sneak away with the top 15 and some other drivers find mistakes. And that's going to be the question. I mean, not the question, but the goal for a lot of these drivers further on back. Stay on track, stay out of trouble, and see what you can take away from this evening's race. As looking at drivers that have already qualified and not the times I think they were hoping for. Zach Hall, surprisingly, all the way down in 10th position after a great practice lap that he put down earlier.
Yeah, that's unfortunate to see. Zach Hall having a huge lap in practice, but qualifying is where it really matters. Just not able to get the speed down. He'll start back in 10th. But, I mean, best place you can have a track position for road courses is huge. If you could start further up front, you're going to have a better chance of maintaining your position. So this Jairek Talmadge able to take the pole. That is a phenomenal lap coming in from him, and like just winning by 1/1000th of a second, getting that pole position. We're right along here with Martin Morales currently, as he's putting down, looks like lap number 2 for himself.
Yeah, just finished his second lap. That's a 1 minute and 23.9 second lap time, which was his first lap. That placed them 21st currently. Other drivers that have yet to put down a time and might have called it an evening for qualifying: GT Razzari, Shane Terrian, and Nico Garcia, deciding not to put down any laps after invalidating their first attempt. As a lot of drivers will be sent to the end of the line that qualified well. We've got ourselves Ryan Bird. He will be sent to the end of the line. Shane Terrian also will be sent to the end of the line. And Colin Carroll and Douglas Newbigging as well, both given L1 penalties for too many incidences caused in the most recent races. For Colin Carroll as well, too many incident points. Shane Terrian, after intentionally wrecking John Forbes at the end of last week's race at Michigan, he was given an end-of-the-line penalty to start tonight's race off, and Ryan Bird deemed ARCA braking on one of the incidences last week. That will send him to the end of the line. And Christopher Norris, Brad Delph, both of them were given a 2-race suspension. Tonight is their second race suspension. They will not be racing here this evening, leaving us to 26 drivers out on track. And Richard, getting given an EOL in an oval, you can really recover. At a road course where there will be a stage being given out at the end of lap 10, but no full course yellow at that stage, this is going to be brutal for those drivers sent to the end of the line.
Yeah, being that there's no caution going to be thrown for the stage, that really puts a damper in a lot of drivers that got those EOLs. You know, usually get cautions for the stage. You kind of couldn't recover from that, and especially on a road course, you can undercut, come in a little early before those pit lane closes, and you can kind of jump the field when they come into pit during the stage. But that's not going to happen tonight. No caution for the stage. Let's hope that these drivers don't have a huge traffic jam in turn 1 and that tunnel turn.
That has been a worry with drivers talking about where are some trouble spots where we could see a full course block up that could bring out our full course yellow. That first corner, second corner, and third are the places where if we're gonna see a full course blockage, it would be at those spots at the immediate start of this race. Everyone's hoping that they've got their braking points figured out as we are about to be done with qualifying. We want to say thank you so much to the sponsors for Season 11 of the WSSR VRS Cup Series with our title sponsor, VRS. That's the Virtual Racing School. Thank you so much for tagging along and being the title sponsor for Season 11. Also want to say thank you to GTR Simulators. If you want to get pro-level simulators, go head over to gtrsimulators.com today. Also, if you're looking for any trophies out there for any fantasy sports, for racing apparel, go check out trophysmack.com and see their wide range of pre-made and trophies that can be customized your own liking today. If you're also looking for customizable objects to get in the racing world or for your own home, go check out Sim Precision Prints. It's a 3D modeled program that you can find yourself that our very own Zach Hull has. You send him your request and he'll print it out for you. We also want to say thank you to our camera providers for Freaky Fast Broadcasting, that being Whiplash SimCams. Go check out Whiplash SimCams to get your best angles of the track today. We also want to say thank you to Whiplash SimCams for being our biggest mover over the day sponsor. We'll tag more about them later on in this race. As qualifying finishes up, congratulations to Jarrett Talmadge. By 1/1000th of a second, he will take the pole here tonight. Congratulations to that team of Nightmare Fuel. They continue to show their dominance here this season. As we take a closer look at how this season has been, as the drivers will have a 5-minute warm-up period before we get to our featured race. Let's take a look at the point standings. Talked about it, Richard. Gavin's not showing up here today, but he has a drop race to give up. So he continues to feel confident heading into next week at North Wilkesboro. But the rest of the field, they know if they have a good race here tonight, they could try to catch up to that 75.
Yeah, and the biggest thing also, like guys that are chasing down Gavin, but even the ones that are trying to chase down that 16th spot being held by Ali Fonseca to get into the playoffs. I mean, some of these drivers that are behind that cut line tonight could be huge for them. They could easily just have a nice, clean, steady, even a slow night. And you might have other drivers that make their own mistakes, trying to either overdrive the car and try to get up to those positions, try to get some stage points or whatnot. So being patient is probably going to be the biggest name of the game tonight for these drivers, especially those in the back. Just be patient, wait for others to make mistakes, and make the moves when you can.
Here's some of the cutoff drivers of note. Brian P. Johnson, Douglas Newbiggin, Zach Hall, Samuel Garcia, Cody Reed. Those drivers all know tonight is a crucial evening. If you want to find a chance to hunt to make the championship and go in and make your way into the playoffs based off of points, you need to figure out to get by Ali Fonseca, who's been on a tear, Chris Stitz, and luckily you find yourself with Seth Knoll announcing that he will not be finding himself returning, or if he does return, it's going to be in a part-time format moving forward. He would relinquish that spot if somehow he's still in the top 16 by the end of the regular season. So that gives a wide open feeling on where to go for these drivers, as we will now move on over to our look at where drivers have been finishing so far this season at our schedule. It's been a fun season so far. 9 races have been completed, and we've seen a lot of variations on pole sitters, on drivers finding themselves in. Been a lot of finding drivers going all around. Where do you want to place yourself? Well, a lot of drivers have been in victory lane, and it's been all Nightmare Fuel as we move over to take a look at our schedule. Certainly has been a blast, Richard, of seeing drivers getting into victory lane in the early going. That's where we saw our variation, but it's been Nightmare Fuel ever since, I would say, the week 3 of the season.
Yeah, Nightmare Fuel, like we were talking about earlier, has just dominated this season, with John Forbes leading at 4 wins on the season. And I do believe the only repeat winner as well, as he's got 4 to the name. So Nightmare Fuel looking to dominate this season completely with John Forbes at the head.
As we find ourselves bouncing out. It's been a fun so far couple of weeks of seeing all the changes. Here's our graphic from our producer of how the season's been. As you can see by the color formats, that is our playoff rounds, as we are now going to be in our final stages of the regular season. We got tonight at the Roval, North Wilkesboro, then Talladega to finish off the regular season. And then we've got our first round of Indianapolis and Chicagoland. Round number 2, we head back here at Charlotte, but it's going to be over the oval configuration, as well as we'll be finding ourselves at Iowa for the short track. Then our round number 3, Legacy, Kentucky, and Auto Club, finishing off with our championship round, Richmond, Homestead. Richard, it's an exciting rest of the season, but everyone needs to step it up if they want to find a way to stop Nightmare Fuel.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an exciting rest of the season, and a lot of those drivers that are looking or on the outside looking in, trying to look for that first win, their biggest chance is probably going to be Talladega. That is one of those races where anything can happen, and we can have a new winner and even a new driver poke his way into the playoffs without being in the points.
As the race is about to get going here tonight, here's some of our pick'ems, drivers of note. Who do we feel like are drivers that we believe could get into victory lane, or storyline drivers? I'm going with the storyline driver, Brian P. Johnson, just outside of the cut line. He needs a solid day today. He's gotten the pole. He's won here in the past. The last 2 times we were here, he found himself grabbing the pole. He won back in season 3. That was back in the Gen 6 car. Much different vehicle we're in now, but I think he'll be a driver to watch out for. Rodman Moyer Jr. going to be picking Zach Hall, who looked quick during practice, but Vincent Sora was your pick, Richard. how confident are you feeling for the 51 to try to sweep the road courses so far this season?
Yeah, Vincent Sora was able to take the win at Portland earlier this season, but only kind of barely over Gavin Rogers. And Gavin not showing up tonight is almost a handout for Vincent Sora, but he's still got 3 drivers who have been fast all season in front of him. He's got to get through that traffic. So, I mean, if once he gets out front, I don't think he'll be able to lose it.
Here's your track layout coming into this evening here at Charlotte for the Roval. We find ourselves a 2.2 distance and length course with just 12 corners that these drivers are dealing with. Track temp in the warmer stages, 96 degrees Fahrenheit, 77 Fahrenheit is the air temperature. That wind, though, that's going to be a nerve-wracking situation with it fluctuating up and down just a bit over the 10-mile-an-hour window. We'll see how that changes as this race progresses. We'll have 40 laps here tonight. Stage at lap 10, but will not throw a full course yellow. And the drivers will have 4 sets of tires to work with in pit road here this evening. We're expecting this race to be a one-stop, and we will see how drivers evolve. Who do they pick? What lap do they decide to come into pit road? I think it's going to be the critical thing here this evening. But one critical part is already over. That's qualifying. Your pole sitter here this evening, it's the 27, a Jarrett Talmadge, by 1/1000th of a second over the one machine of John Forbes. That's row number 1. Row 2, we find Drew Jua, Vincent Sora, going to be 3rd and 4th, with Thomas Green in 5th. 6th will be Cedric Hunter. 7th, Ryan Kelly. Nick Crawford going to take 8th place, sent to the end of the line, but a good qualifying run for the 7 of Douglas Newbigging, and finishing out our top 10, it's the 32 of Zach Hall. As we look at the rest of the field, it's going to be my pick in 11th place. It's Brian P. Johnson in 11th. 12th will be the 50 machine of Samuel Garcia. 13th, we find the 8 machine of Brian McCann. Cody Reed going to be starting out in 14th place. Again, a driver who's found good pace at other road courses. We'll see if he can translate here tonight. Driver who's not the biggest strength at road courses, but it's going to be Larry Yingling in 15th. Ali Fonseca, he's been on a great tear. He's finally moved into the top 16 of points. We'll see if that 24 can carry on that great momentum. The 22 of Colby DiCarlo going to be starting in 17th position. 18th, we find the 17 of Chris Stitz. Joshua Kanata will finish out our top 19, and Kyle Rochelle finishing out the top 20. The last few drivers out there on track going to be the 91 of Mark Morales, who not seen major in 22nd. Ben Kinney will be in 23rd. That's the last of the drivers that got a time in, with Nico Garcia 24th. 25th is the 9 machine of Shane Tarian and GT Razari, finishing out our 26 drivers here this evening. Again, sent to the end of the line, we will be seeing Douglas Newbigging and Shane Tarian both going to be sent there. Colin Carroll's not here, nor is Ryan Bird. Their penalties will carry over to the next time they're out there on track. It's been a wild one of drivers picking and choosing where they're at currently. Richard, we're about to go green. This is critical. Warm up those tires, because you got a full lap of just pacing around and these tires cooling off.
Yeah, it's definitely not just warming those tires up, but a lot of these drivers are probably going to be riding the brakes a little bit, dragging it through the rest of this pace lap. Get those brakes warmed up, because a cold brake is not going to stop those cars very well, so they're going to miss their brake zones. And going into turn 1, that's going to be a massive thing to have those brakes warmed up, along with some warp tires to keep those cars stuck to the track.
You're seeing Jarrett Talmadge trying to get a little bit further ahead of the pace car so he can try to warm up the tires a little bit more quickly as we're going around track into turns 3 and 4 of the oval. These are the final couple of bends before we get to our last chicane on track. I want to say thank you so much to everyone that's joining with us here this evening. It is a pleasure to give you the call here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. As the broadcast crew, got our producer Robert Moyer Jr. If you look at the trees, they are waving back and forth. That's showing the wind. Talked about how it's very windy. It's over 10 miles per hour. And iRacing's done a great job on visually. You can see it around the track on how it's influencing different models on the course. But for these drivers on track, going through that last chicane on the back stretch, the bus stop area, going to be a big passing zone. Turn 1 could be another passing zone. Here, coming to the final chicane, opportunities are plenty to make passes and go for chances on big moves. Here on lap number 1, it's going to be the biggest chance for a lot of drivers. If you're further on back, you got to make these moves quickly, as it is going to be a chaotic start to this evening's race. Joshua Kanata going to be a driver who misses out on the start of this race. 25 other drivers, though, are out on track, ready to go green for the Roval Showdown, presented by SG_Racing. It's go time for race number 10. Low over the chicane, over the bump, a little wiggle and slide, and it's Jared Talmadge looking clean down into turn number 1. But John Forbes already under heavy pressure from Drew Jua. Oh no! Talmadge into the wall! Cedric Hunter with a big slide as the field scatters around. Everyone able to slow up, but it's a big slide that's going to hurt a few. But Talmadge from the pull to a great launch to throw it all away in a blink of an eye, as now the teammates are side by side for fourth position, and it's Drew Jua who loves the start of this race so far.
Drew Jua able to get that lead after Talmadge kind of gets messed up by himself there. And almost a track blocker. Cedric Hunter was able to keep the car up there by the wall, though, and everyone got around nice and clean. But we're side by side between the 27 and the 31 of Talmadge and Green. These two are fighting for the position. Talmadge trying to hold on, but he's not going to have that preferred line as Green does get around him, but it brings Ryan Kelly along with him as they head to the backstretch now out of turn 2. Into the chicane. This is the scary part as Drew Jua messes up and he loses the lead to the number 1 of John Forbes and the second place to Vincent Sora.
And just like that, John Forbes finds his lucky little horseshoe and he's back to the point. Nobody else, so lead lap 1. It's going to be the 1 of Forbes going into this final chicane. Just hit your markers. Make sure you don't go over it. It just misses completely. The last chicane, he's got to have a slowdown penalty and bring everyone back. Our top 3 are right back on top of one another, but lap 1 does go to John Forbes, as going to be seen the 51 of Vincent Sora. Drew Jua, they're trying to find a way to run down this one machine of John Forbes, but that missing of the chicane could become massive to watch out for, as Martin Morales have a little bit of trouble further on back. But the big reason I could say this could be big trouble to watch out for, if you've gotten into the wall, if you've gotten to other drivers, there are incident points that you do not want to continue to accrue. If you have over 15 incident points, or every incident point, 15 incident points I should say, you will have a drive-through penalty, and Richard, that could be critical to this race here tonight. Lap 1, we've already seen multiple drivers having issues immediately.
One thing these drivers got to pay attention to is that incident point count that they will get from off tracks. Now, it's not just off tracks that will get that, it's also car contacts or spinning out. It's any kind of incident point, and they got to watch that. It's got to be a resource that they have to pay attention to, just like tires and fuel. So they have to be aware of how many incident points they've accrued with all these off tracks that we'll probably see as they go back into the chicane here. But we're riding along now with Zach Hall, who is back here fighting with Brian P. Johnson and Brian McCann, trying to make the move. He does get around Brian P. Johnson. He will move into that position. Now he's chasing down the number 8 of Brian McCann as they dive down into turn 1 here on the front stretch.
Diving all around, trying to find comfortable places to be, and first driver to hit pit road, the 3 of Ryan Kelly. Doesn't look like that vehicle is looking well for himself. He's slowly marching his way into his pit stall. And Kelly, I believe, got into the wall, might have some steering issues that he wants to get repaired and looked at. What did have a yield penalty for a second. We'll keep an eye out on the 3 if he calls it a night here early, or how long he stays in pit road. Ollie Fonseca in the 24, trying to find a way to keep moving forward in the point standings. After last week's race, he just moved up 1 spot to up 3 positions, in points. Is now the cutoff driver, 16th in points, and what a run it's been after a horrendous start where he was down around 30th in points and worse. It just feels like for the last 6 races, it has been a critical just showing by Ollie, being inside of the top 10, inside of the top 5 each and every week. It's been impressive by this 24.
Ollie really has been extremely impressive to watch, doing really well, keeping that car out of trouble and up running in the top 10 or even higher. This is what has helped him vault himself into that playoff picture now. He's just on the cut line. He still can potentially lose that, but if he can keep up this momentum, he has definitely got a very solid chance at moving into the playoffs. The only thing that can really stop him right now is a new winner. That is something he doesn't want to see, but he gets a little loose there in turn 1. Almost got into Chris Stitz, but able to keep it straight, and now right in front of Cedric Hunter, and that is not what Cedric wants to see.
Absolutely not, but a big slide. It's a lot of heat that's going to be built up into these tires. And as this great battle's happening, there's also a battle for the lead as Vincent Sora, John Force, Drew Jua, and oh no, Vincent Sora gets tossed around into the outside wall. Just went for the diving move for the lead, and it backfired quickly for Vincent Sora. And from being inside of the top 3 to now watching the positions just fall away. Finally, a clearance. He might be able to get going, but no, he'll fall now outside of the top 20 for Vincent Sora.
Yeah, that is not something you like seeing for yourself. He got turned by Drew Jua there out of the turn. And he fell back from running up there, passing for the lead almost. Now he's sitting at the tail end. Vincent Sora lost a ton of ground as we go back to the replay to kind of see what happened. He was sitting second place, following John Forbes, trying to make a move, looking to see if he can get the lead. Looked a little bit there. He's got the inside, makes the move, locks up a little bit there, which loses some momentum. Still side by side, but Drew Jua dives it into the turn and just kind of drives up into his left rear quarter panel there and sends him all the way around. Unfortunate to see for Vincent Sora, and he will be sitting almost last place, a few cars behind him, but no yellow flag. He will not be able to catch back up to that front group unless he puts down some really, really fast laps.
And what a slide by Drew Jua. He'll fall now to 4th place by the 77 and sliding all around for these drivers. And with the new tire update, we were told it's going to take a few laps before these tires are really up to snuff on at least pace-wise, on heat that you're looking for. But ultimately, you can see tire wear. This is something we did not see in the previous tire model that iRacing had. It felt like for almost a year and a half, we were seeing drivers that would just never pit because it wasn't necessary at road courses for the next gen. This year tonight could be the first night that we really see all the field pit for tires here this evening.
Yeah, and that could also be a strategy thing now if the tires are wearing like the drivers are saying, where they need to take tires because of times. Some of these drivers...
Oh, Drew Jua goes around, just misses that final chicane braking point and hard into the pit wall. And it goes from bad to worse as he gets back out on track for the 77 and falls outside of the top 10.
A massive mistake for Drew Jua there, who was running up there trying to get the lead as well. Just missing braking point. That is a huge thing for these drivers. A lot of them, we've got to battle that. They got to know where they got to get the brakes and how hard they got to get on them. And Drew Jua just saw what you don't want to do. Got on the brakes, got loose, and he pretty much went head on into that inside pit wall. So probably some major damage for him, but he's going to try to follow in here with Cedric Hunter and Ollie Fonseca.
And this is a great battle because this is for your 10th place position. Stage bonus points on the line. We will not see a full course yellow be thrown, but if any drivers that are inside of the top 10 at the end of lap 10 will find themselves getting bonus points. First place will get 10 bonus points. Second will get 8. First gets 10, second gets 9, third gets 8. It continues to dwindle down until we get 10th place where they only get 1 bonus point for themselves. And Ollie Fonseca currently trying to find a way to get by Cedric Hunter for that 1 bonus point. As we hop on board with Brian P. Johnson, talked about how he was my storyline pick, but he has shown in the past that finding success here at the Roval, and he's proven it once again, running currently in 6th place and seeing Brian McCann right ahead of him. One of our biggest movers so far is McCann, up 8 spots from where he qualified. As we ride on board with the 28, talking about the suspension and how aggressive it's been, let's just ride along with this 28 machine for this lap. If he gets on the rumble strip, we'll get a good sense of how these drivers are feeling. Currently trying to keep this steering wheel as smooth as possible, but see those little counteracting moves to try to keep the nose straight, not trying to lose the rear end when getting back onto the throttle. And Richard, we're seeing some smoothness here, but into the wall, going to be Brian McCann, a little bit of a scrub off that wall, and that is a hard contact that you do not want to make any bigger, as that wall coming back onto the oval stretch is honestly probably the most dangerous wall out there on track besides the Tums wall at turn 1.
Yeah, Brian McCann got into the wall just a very little bit there, but right along here, Brian P. Johnson, you were saying, very smooth with the wheel is exactly what you want to do. Any kind of seesawing back and forth, turning left and right, you're going to burn those tires up and also make that car very, very unsettled. And it's really hard to save these cars sometimes. But Brian P. Johnson putting on a class act, really showing how well he is here at the Roval, and a huge step up there for Brian McCann. His rear end got out a little bit more than what he was hoping for through that first stretch chicane. But Brian P. Johnson makes a very easy move, gets around Brian McCann, and off to the races Brian P. Johnson now.
The Bryans playing nice with one another, and this is the kind of niceness of road course racing of you see your competition around you. Sometimes you can see the bigger picture. All right, I made a mistake. There's not a driver close enough to me behind us, or if I just give up this position, I can resettle, get back in my rhythm, and we won't lose too much time to the drivers ahead of us. Great pass made by Johnson as McCann gives up that spot, as seeing Thomas Green currently find themselves second place. Ahead of them, John Forbes, the teammates, they are keeping this battle for the lead still interesting as Jared Talmadge, our pole sitter, lingers behind. First diving move by the 31 down into this backstretch chicane. Not going to be the opportunity just yet for that 31, as that will hurt his exit out of the corner. But first attempt to the inside, trying to make this one machine, well, Felly's trying to force the one to make a mistake, which I feel like is more of an attack mode that we're going to see a lot here tonight. Forcing the driver ahead of you to miss a braking point, overstep a corner, and you can easily take that pass.
That is the easiest way to make a pass on road courses. It's not necessarily being faster than the guy in front of you. It's making a move, not necessarily where you're going to make the pass, but it's to make them think you are and have them be the one to make the mistake. And that's what he was trying to get John to do, was make a small mistake. He didn't get a good run out of the turn, as you saw, the gapped a little bit, but that's exactly what Green was doing, trying to get John to make a little bit of a mistake, maybe look in his mirror, get a little nervous, so when John makes the mistake, then Green can just get on by him a little smoother. So a lot of these passes will be just because of mistakes made versus just being a little faster than the guy in front of you.
Searching for wherever the maximum speed is currently as our leaders stay in line. Some drivers that are battling side by side. Is happening back in 7th place as Cody Reed, Chris Stitz, they are going back and forth between one another as Stitz rips the top, trying to keep some with some good momentum. It's working right now for himself. Cody Reed on the inside, trying to keep good pace. Might want to back out from this camera because we're going to see side by side down into the chicane. Not a place you want to stay side by side as Cody Reed bouncing on his way. Save for Stitz, and Hunter goes right on through the middle.
Hunter through the middle, both Reed and Stitz making a mistake. They were trying to go too wide into that little bus stop, and Cody Reed messed up really in the middle of the bus stop where Stitz had to cut the corner a little bit, thought he didn't have room, and Cedric Hunter, seeing the mistake by both drivers, drove straight through the middle of both of them as they were coming back close to each other, gets through smooth, passes 2 cars in 1 turn.
And now going to see Nick Crawford attempting to go to the inside. Drew Jewell also trying to follow in suit with 74. As Cody Reed, little mistake, costly now, went from trying to push forward to be in the 8th place position to now falling outside of the top 10 into 12th position. I mean, for these drivers that are running in this pack, knowing that this is the final lap of the stage, that's got to be a heartbreaker for Cody Reed, who came into tonight needing some good points. He was 20th in points. It could have been stage bonus points that could have propelled him closer to that points battle to make the playoffs.
Yeah, Cody Reed definitely wanted to get that extra point. He is still sitting there. You know, he's got 2 cars in front, 1 car in front of him. He's trying to look maybe and catch up to Drew Jewell, but that is just not going to happen. Drew Jewell able to pull away. He's going to squeak back into the top 10 and get that stage point, but Cody Reed still trying to look in and get into those playoff picture, but not going to be able to get that extra point to help his race forward.
As drivers cross the line, it's the end of the stage, and it's John Forbes that will be your stage winner, as Thomas Green not able to find the mistake by the 1 to get on through. Instead, he'll continue to follow in line, and this is when things can get fun on pit stops, on when they decide to go into pit road. But congratulations to the 1 machine who continues on his winning ways. This go around, it's a stage win for John Forbes. As he looks in his mirror, luckily, it's teammates that are behind him. I'm curious on how nicely they'll continue to race around one another. You've got Thomas Green, who's only gotten one win that he got back at Las Vegas. Forbes has 4 wins, but it's this driver in third, Jared Talmadge. I mean, he felt like this had to be the perfect start he was looking for. Got the pole, but threw it all the way just on that first corner. But this 27 isn't reaching distance. Within a second of the leaders, he still has a chance to, if there's a mistake ahead of him, Jared Talmadge could be trying to grab his first win of the season here this evening.
Yeah, Jarrett is still within striking distance of these two, all things considered, especially after 10 laps. Still very close to these leaders. So unfortunate to see the small mistake he did literally on the first turn. That's just, I think, nerves. When you start on the pole, you're not used to starting up there, a little bit nervous, and just missed the braking point ever so slightly, and then he lost all that position. But keeping up with his teammates, he's doing a great job. These guys are leading the way, following each other, and now they're just kind of in line, trying to just make it to the pit stop time. I don't think they're really going to race each other hard at the moment, but we'll have to see. I know Thomas Green's still looking to try and find a moment to get around John Forbes.
Talking about pit stops and when drivers will go into pit road, here's what the weather has looked like so far. Ambient temperature, air temperature going to be 77 degrees Fahrenheit, track temp 94 Fahrenheit. The wind is still in that weird fluctuating zone of 8 to over 10 miles per hour. And there it is, ramping right back up. Humidity's over 50% here tonight. But talking about fuel, tires at a pit stop, I'm looking at last laps that were put down compared to drivers' best laps. There isn't that crazy of a fall off. Some drivers actually are putting down their fastest laps of the day. Still, other drivers have fallen off over a half a second. So there's a wide variety of drivers that are trying to protect their rubber and those that are maxing out early. And I think that those drivers that are maxing out early are going to be the ones that are really going to need tires once we make these pit stops.
Yeah, I mean, drivers in the back who are just kind of saving the tires a little bit, they're going to have a little bit more pace. They might be able to catch up to the guys further in front. But the downside here is who's going to take tires and who thinks they can make another stint on these tires. That's going to be the biggest thing of the decision on pit road, whether you take fuel only or take tires. I mean, it's probably going to be smarter just to go ahead and take some tires, but it's going to be an interesting strategy to see what these guys decide to do with the massive lead that the top 3 have right now. Currently 6 seconds ahead of Zachary Hall, Jared Talmadge is. So these guys are kind of walking away, leading Nightmare Fuel to a complete podium sweep so far early in this race.
Well, the drivers are having some issues further in the back as GT Azari, Ryan Kelly are having their own race. Lap down driver Ryan Kelly is back out on track. Only problem, he is 6 laps down. Another driver who has made a pit stop so far this evening, that's Ben Keeney, who made his stop about 2 laps ago. That 98 is 1 lap down. We've got 24 drivers still on the lead lap. Joshua Kanata in the 16 decided to start in pit road. I don't know if that was an optional call for himself because he qualified not the best that he was hoping for. Qualified 19th for himself. Starting the pits sometimes can enable drivers to stay out of the trouble of that first corner issues like we saw with Cedric Hunter and Jared Talmadge, but wasn't a big enough issue to capitalize on as the 16 is trying his best to continue to race forward. Here's Manazzi Major as well, trying to tack forward as quickly as they can, but I'm curious if we can get a replay of it. Trouble for the 25 of Cody Reed. He was battling for 14th. He's fallen to 16th now. I'm curious on what happened to this 25 who was attempting his best to stay ahead of competition. Actually, he was battling for 12th with Nico Garcia here heading into the backstretch chicane.
Chicane here as Nico Garcia makes a move to the inside of Cody Reed, some bouncing. Cody Reed just gets up on those turtles a little bit and then just kind of self-clears him across the Ali Fonseca. I don't think there was any contact, but just got loose, could not get that car to go back straight, and he spun right around, losing a lot of track time and track position.
I'll fall now to 16th place, and it's just been the downfall of Cody Reed. I mean, at one moment, battling for 7th and 8th, and now is down to 16th position, a loss of about 15 seconds on his competition since we saw this fall apart moment around lap 8. Other drivers that are battling around one another here is a good cluster. That battle for 8th in 9th position. Seeing Chris Stitz currently in 8th place, able to get ahead of Larry Yingling, who I've been watching connection-wise. 67's been having some errors, or he's been blinking a lot, so that's why our ticker has been having some fluctuations earlier on in the race. But seeing drivers trying to maximize their speed as the 8 of Brian McCann get close to that outside wall, and Cedric Hunter continuing on his ways of trying to take back these positions after his slide. They're back on lap number 1.
Yeah, Cedric Hunter doing a really good job slowly picking off the cars one by one. Challenge Brian McCann right now, but he's worked his way back up into the 7th position. So great work from Cedric after that early race slide in turn 1. But he's having a nice clean race now, just looking at the back of Brian, hoping he makes a mistake or can get a little bit of speed and make that move in one of these turns.
As drivers were going all around and all the great racing that happened, there was a pass for the lead. Thomas Green taking that top spot. Jared Talmadge currently in 2nd, and John Forbes falling to 3rd. As we were looking through all the field and seeing where drivers were at, Thomas Green, Jared Talmadge, I mean, I'm looking at that 27. There is a hefty amount of damage from that first lap, first corner incident. They ran into the wall, but he is keeping some pretty good pace for himself as John Forbes just continues to try to keep close after he was in the lead back at lap 13, but looks like there was trouble for him around that lap where he lost the lead position, and luckily he's still within a second, 2 seconds to the lead spot, but giving away the lead position after an error is always frustrating to see.
Yeah, he's the lead pretty much that much of the race, and you kind of lost what had happened. I'm going to try to look back and see what happened with John Forbes, but he lost it to his teammates there. So still got Nightmare Fuel up front, but it does look like it was an issue on the front stretch. He was getting passed by Thomas Green on the inside of turn 3 and 4. Actually, on the
Here's
bus
the replay. As we've got it here, it's going to be seeing the one machine go down into the chicane, trying to keep the position. There's the wheels locking up and completely misses the final corner. Backs off, has to relinquish that spot, and as well almost gave a chance for Jared Talmadge to take the lead down into turn number 1, but with a yield penalty, that's what held up the one and was forced him to lose all of this time.
It's unfortunate to see for John Forbes, but great recovery nonetheless. They were too wide going into the bus stop as well, so it was a long pass trying to be made. But great recovery from himself, but Thomas Green now on the lead, being followed by his teammate Jarrett Talmadge as well. We got a slow car on the front stretch, probably serving a penalty, but right along here, Cedric Hunter still sitting behind Brian McCann, just trying to make us see the car bouncing a little bit, going back into the chicane on the front stretch. It is a kind of a bumpy area of the track for these guys to drive, as you saw right there with Cedric Hunter.
Yeah, it seems like there's a couple of drivers that are just way off the pace compared to their competition. That slow driver was Ben Keeney serving a slowdown penalty in the 98, and then Menazzi Major has been also looking quite slow as that call was closing in on him as he fall back to Vincent Sora after his big spin around after contact between himself and Drew Jua. He's been inside of the top 10, now up to 9th place as Larry Yingling, Nick Crawford behind him. As looking at the speed, the lap time's been putting down. Vincent Sora, currently the 2nd fastest driver out there on track. The fastest driver, it's our driver on top of the board, Thomas Green. Last lap, a 1 minute and 21 second flat time, as Vincent Sora was about a half a second slower with a 1:21.4 for himself.
Yeah, Vincent Sora is definitely a man on the mission, trying to get back up into this top 5. He's squeaked his way back into the top 10, so great work for him to get all the way back that far in the field to work his way back up into the top 10, but still got his sights set to that front row. But Thomas Green putting down some screamers of laps right now. He is trying to get that lap, or extend that lead as much as he can.
Cody Reed, trouble for the 25. I believe he was trying to go down into, oh gosh, it's the wall that I was talking about that we've seen drivers have trouble, and it's going to be another Lucky Ducks Motorsports driver that's going to be involved with this one. But as a victim, Cody completely missing the corner. Douglas Newbegin piles into the 25, and Cody ultimately had to tow to pit road. That is some hefty damage for this 25 machine, broken suspension and all, as he tried to get rolling, but it was too broke and had to take the tow. That will be joining the fray of also Joshua Kanata, who has decided to call it a night early. We'll see if Cody Reed decides to call it a night or if he'll sit in pit road to see what this damage truly looks like.
Yeah, we'll have to see what his damage is, whether it's too much for him to continue or he's going to get it repaired. We'll have to see what Cody Reed decides. But all this is doing is actually going to help Ryan Kelly, who had early damage. He's still sitting 6 laps down. But with Joshua Kanata calling it a night, that's actually going to be one more position for Ryan Kelly. So Ryan Kelly should be able to make his way through this field and get a few more positions. But the number 50, Samuel S. Garcia, as we just got reported, is also having a meatball flag for required repairs. You see the right front of that car does not look like it's connected.
No, and it is going to be the spot where Cedric Hunter had trouble as he was trying to get rolling. I think there might have been a potential money shift by the 50 machine as he was trying to get rolling through here on the back stretch, trying to get rolling, and I'm not sure exactly where the issue fully popped up, but I think there might have been an engine or suspension issue as he grazes the wall there. I think he already had gotten the meatball at this point, gets close to that outside wall, and he's just puttering around. I'm not completely sure on where the required damage popped up for this 50 machine, but he is heading to pit road, and it looks like it could be something minor that's causing the 50 have to go to the pit road.
Could be minor and it could be major. The good thing is that tire was still rolling, so that could help him a bit, but it's going to be at least a 3 minutes pit road cycle for him trying to get that damage repaired. So unfortunate to see for Samuel Garcia, who has been having a pretty good season. He's been doing a lot better this season for himself, and unfortunately to see him have to go to pit road to get some damage repaired. But Vincent Sora here still making headway to the cars in front of him as he is now caught up to Chris Stitz, and he's going to be looking to try to make this pass for 8th place very soon.
This is some of the closest racing action on track. The drivers from 6th all the way back to 10th within a second and a half of one another. Some lap traffic mixed and mingled in between as seen ahead of them, Cedric Hunter, Brian McCann try to have their own squabble get cleared up as Stitz, Sora there start to have their battle mixy, and Nick Crawford is a second behind Sora and co, but there's a chance if he sees anyone slip up, the 74 will pounce as these are drivers inside of the top 10. Behind them was the 22 of Colby DiCarlo, as I believe he had his slight errors pop up with a slowdown penalty and a little bit of damage for the 22 machine as he lets other drivers go on by. But Richard, I mean, looking at this field, is Cedric Hunter hard contact for himself, spooks Stitz, Sora goes through in the 13. That is hard contact, not required damage, but it looks like it could be suspension issues for himself, as that is just not looking good for the 13 as he tries to get rolling.
Yeah, massive hit for Cedric Hunter to that outside or that wall there that we talked about. Yeah, that right front is definitely messed up. He has got some wheel issue in that car. Might not have a meatball, but he has definitely got some suspension and wheel issue or damage on that right front. You could see his car's turning left, but he's turning right. So he's going to come down pit road. He's going to try to get as much of this as he possibly fixed. But massive damage for the 13 Hello Kitty machine.
There were also other issues that popped up at that chicane. When Cedric went one way, there was smoke the other. That was the 50 of Samuel Garcia that went sliding into the chicane, completely missing it as he ran over the turtles. As he is able to get rolling once again, only one lap down. Luckily, that required damage wasn't big enough to where he had to stay in there for too long. Able to get the tires, fuel, and back out on track for the 50, but he is currently one lap down with the slide that he had. Back to the battle for 7th place, Stitz, Sora back at it again as they continue on.
Yeah, Stitz and Sora here. Stitz trying everything he can do to stay in front of Vincent Sora. But Vincent Sora, again, one of the faster guys in the league, especially on road courses. Stitz is doing a good job defending, but how long can he do it for? He can't keep this up forever, especially with tires deteriorating like they do. We'll have to see what Vincent Sora is. If he's going to make a move here, he will not. He's just going to follow in suit behind Stitz, get through. But Brian McCann had a real big slowdown moment, and so does Stitz as Sora gets into his back end there. Oh, huge momentum for Sora just diminished with Stitz having his small issue there in the middle of the bus stop.
The trouble with road course racing, you try to find the openings, and there's times where you'll get the perfect exit, but there's a driver ahead of you, so it just negates all of that time. But luckily for Sora, at enough pace, able to get by and move forward. Next driver on his list is going to be the 8 machine of Brian McCann. And McCann has been having a fabulous run so far for himself. As we are past the halfway, we want to give some shout outs to some drivers that are out there on track. Now, I know pit road cycle is in the middle, so some of these numbers might be a little bit off, but I want to give a shout out to 10th place runner. That will be Shane Tarian, who is currently our biggest mover, our Whiplash SimCam's biggest mover of the race. So far, after 22 laps being completed, it's this 9 of Tarian, up 15 spots from where he started. Didn't qualify, was sent to the end of the line, and currently runs 10th. Still needs to make pit stop, but hey, congratulations on being our Whiplash SimCam's biggest mover of the race.
Yeah, great work from Shane Tarian getting that EOL from last week's post race incident. Honestly, it was after the checkered flag. He felt like his win at the race last week was kind of robbed by a little bit of door rubbing going to the checkered flag. It was great racing to watch, but he did not like how he was raced there and took his frustrations out on track, which affected the start of his race tonight, getting that EOL. But doing great work up here in the top 10 now from starting in the very bag. Hopefully he can make a few more positions up to try and gain more points for himself.
There have been plenty of pit stops so far here this evening. About half the field has already made their stops. More drivers entering. Zach Hall, Brian P. Johnson has trouble ahead of the field there at turn 2 as they were trying to move up. Brian McCann, Kyle Rochelle, they're 4-1 for a quick moment, and it's going to be the 74 of Nick Crawford sliding his way through. Vincent Sora with the big loss, and the 74 just blitzing his way through all that chaos. As I believe, again, it was the 41 of Kyle Rochelle, I believe, that got spun around. Here's going to be another look at it as Vincent Sora was attempting to get by the 8 machine. The 41 is going to be spun around ahead of him, and Sora, from advantage to penalty to hardship, required damage for the 51 after that contact.
Of damage for the 51. That is the downside about that turn. It's a sharp left-hand turn, and if someone's spinning out, you don't see it, and it's already high speed and just no time to react with nowhere to go either. It's so narrow, and that is just heartbreak for Vincent Sora trying to make his way back up through the field, and now he's got meatball required damage. He's got to get that right front tire fixed. Totally broke pit lane for Vincent Sora.
And you hate to see that for the driver again. And we were just marking on his great recovery run from his earlier incident. And the frustration mounts up. Our second in points entering tonight with the fact that Gavin Rogers wasn't here. This could have been a big points day to close in on the gap, but not going to be the case. The 75 will survive. He's got to be careful of John Forbes as he currently runs in 3rd place. If Forbes can find a way to sneak ahead and get 2nd, that could be better points. But with 17 laps to go, we still wait for our top 7 to hit pit road. Also, other drivers that need to pit is GT Irizarry and Munatsi Major need to make their stops before the night is over. But looking at the field and how spread out they are, Richard, this is a Thomas Green masterclass by the 31. Ever since he got by the 1, he has been just on dominance. He's been on rails, and he's been staying in the 1 minute and 21 second time window. I don't know how he has saved these tires this long. When I look at the rest of the competition, they've fallen off by almost 2 to 3 seconds from some of their fastest times.
I think the biggest thing that we're seeing from Thomas Green here that a lot of the drivers are doing, he's not sliding those tires. He's not locking them up. He's making very nice, smooth, deliberate moves, and it's keeping those tires as fresh as they possibly can. You'd think they would, but that's the biggest thing he's doing. He's not slipping. He's not sliding. He's not drifting this car around these turns. And even when he does take these sharper turns with the turtles, like on the front stretch chicane, when that car gets upset, you don't see that rear end squiggle out from underneath him. He keeps it very straight, which is keeping those tires cooler than everybody else, and also with a little bit more life in them as well.
As Shane Tarian now going to be entering pit road, he has been doing such a great job of just attacking this track. Has been the 31, as still waiting for our top 6 to go into pit road. Our producer, Robert Moyer Jr., wants us to take a look at these front tires as he goes into these corners. Big thing is the brakes and the rotors. We were seeing it on some of the drivers, is that they weren't glowing as crazy. I'm not sure if it's because of one side glows more than the other, as we saw from the inside of the track shots. We saw a lot of that glowing, but from the outside, didn't look like there was any glowing going on for that driver there of the 31. Richard, I know it's one of the things that iRacing, the visual fun that they give us, is seeing the brake rotors and the way that they glow for some of the drivers.
Yeah, and I think what that is he's got a very good balance in the brakes for his car. He doesn't have heavy brakes on the front. He doesn't have heavy braking in the rear. He's got a balanced braking setup for himself, because even though it's fixed setups for these cars for this league, they are able to adjust the master cylinders and your brake bias. This affects how these cars brake and how they react when you're braking. And it does look like Thomas Green has just got a very well balanced braking car for tonight. He's able to utilize those brakes. He's not really, like I said, not sliding that car. He's not having those brakes turn that car for him, and it's really working out for him. He's still just now put in a 122 lap, but he's been in the 121s for the longest time, which has allowed him to get an 8.5-second lead over his teammate of Jarrett Talmadge.
A driver to watch out for that we just saw there, Zach Hall, just put down the fastest lap of the race, a 1 minute and 20.206 lap time. The other driver who had the fastest lap compared to that was Drew Jua, but we saw Drew, after he put that fastest lap down, 3 laps later, he was slipping and sliding everywhere. Hall currently runs in 7th place. He's the leader currently of everyone that's pitted so far. And with Hall pitting 3 laps to go, this could give him the advantage with running 2.5, for some 3 seconds faster than his competition ahead. These are big moments to gain some massive time on your competition if they don't pit in the next 3 to 4 laps.
Yeah, they've got to pit here soon if they want to be able to maintain a decent lead. This is where a lot of these drivers that have got these new tires, this is where they're going to make up these positions, make up the time. Now, I don't know what basically what we call the plateau of the tire wear is, where, I mean, when you get new tires, when the tires kind of balance out after pit road entries. So I don't know exactly what that lap count is, but these guys are going to be able to make up massive amounts of time on these guys that have not gone down pit road yet. So I think the benefit is going to be for these drivers that pit a lot earlier. They're going to be able to make up some time. Now, I don't know if it's going to be a race winning change or decision to make, but we'll have to see as this race progresses, as we're getting closer and closer to the end of this race with only 13 laps to go.
I think this is the fun part, is the fact that tire wear does matter now. With the old system, it really was just, hey, if you're the fastest car out there, as long as you minimize your mistakes, you're gonna win. Here tonight, we're seeing some strategy calls, earlier pit stops could be the winning advantage. And if you're looking for advantages out there on the racetrack, we got plenty of those for you. Go check out one of the best racing schools out there. It's the Virtual Racing School, otherwise known as VRS. It's the title sponsor of the WSSR VRS Cup Series. If you want to find yourself with the instruments to help you develop into a champion across the sim world, head on over to thevirtualracingschool.com and check out their wide range of unique ways to help you, from data, live data that you can pick up, to tips and tricks and different ways that you can get the knowledge and tools to hit your full potential, whether it's on the virtual track or beyond. Go check out Virtual Racing School today. We also want to say thank you to the best sim gear that you can get in simulator racing rigs. It's GTR Simulators. They've got great, compact, saving you space racing rigs. They don't just need to lay around. It can be compacted and placed to the side with their compact V2 GTR rig. Go check it out today at gtrsimulators.com. And when purchasing, you get yourself a 10% off discount for $100 or more with the promo code WSSR. Thank you so much to VRS and GTR Simulators, as we got 13 laps to go and we still wait for our top 6 to hit pit road. And now I'm curious, when would they make this final stop? We do know that they cannot make it on fuel to the end of this race, but when you make your final stop, I mean, we've seen great speed by the 31. I mean, this could be a great strategy call of, you just don't take tires.
You know, it could be. He's got such a massive lead, still putting down some pretty decent times for how old these tires are. So it could be a strategy call where you just come in, splash enough fuel to get to the end of the race, maybe take 2 tires. Maybe that's just enough you need to make around these turns. Who knows? We'll have to see what they decide on doing, but they're running these cars to the longest they possibly can, it seems, instead of coming down and getting fresher tires to have those faster speeds. So we'll have to see what their decision is, but they've got to be able to be pitting here anytime soon.
Yeah, you'd think that they would be at some point. Still looking at John Forbes here in the one after taking the lead, getting the slowdown penalties. He had multiple ones, just not finding the braking zones that have been fitting for this one machine in the final chicane. As now with all of those slowdowns, he finds himself being just a little bit under 10 seconds behind Thomas Green, a little bit under second and a half to Jarrett Talmadge for second. And this one is going to do everything in his power to grab every position possible here late. And Jarrett Talmadge better watch out. That one does not want to settle for third place. Jarrett Talmadge, though, it has been fun to see. I mean, he's been, it's hard to say the quote-unquote weakest link, maybe. It feels like he hasn't gotten a win yet for the Nightmare Fuel team of John Forbes, Vincent Sora, Jarrett Talmadge, and Thomas Green. But if you look at the points, he's ahead of Thomas Green currently. But I mean, Jarrett, it's been so fun to see the development of this 27 who used to struggle, was a driver that was competing for top 15s, to now up here in the top 3 almost every week that we come out here for the WSSR.
And that just goes to show you, like, if you can get on the right team and they see potential in you, then you can learn a lot. And he is on probably one of the best teams in this league of Nightmare Fuel, especially with that of Vincent Sora and John Forbes. He's got some fantastic teachers alongside him. They're probably giving him some tips, some tricks, and showing him what he's doing wrong and what he can do better to get these higher speeds. And we've seen a massive step forward from Jarrett Talmadge, and he's up here racing in the top 5 and the top 10s week in and week out. So fantastic work from Jarrett and great development from Nightmare Fuel to be able to get him up here running and contending
For championships, contending for trophies. And if you'd like to find yourself with your own trophies at home, head on over to Trophy Smack today. TrophySmack.com has plenty of varieties of championship trophies, from championship belts, rings, trophies, and more. They've got themselves pre-made and trophies that you can customize to your own liking. Head on over to TrophySmack.com to see their wide variety of championship trophies for whatever event you're looking for. And if you just want to have something that will show off your latest victories, if you're in the sim world, some of the drivers have picked up Wall Smack from Trophy Smack. It's a metal plate that you can put your own image on. It comes with its wall-safe magnet system for you to place on your wall if you want to show it off there, or you can get the stand, or you can place it on a shelf, on your desk, wherever you want to show off your fabulous wall smack. Head on over to TrophySmack.com and remember to use the promo code WSSR Smack at checkout to receive 10% off on your wall smack purchase at TrophySmack.com. And if you want to know who our trophy provider is, go head over to SimPrecisionPrints.shop. SimPrecisionPrints.shop has got some great different items that you can collect, as they are 3D printed sim racing gear in one-of-a-kind pieces that are built with passion and precision. As our championship provider for the WSSR Cup Series, I want to say thank you to Sim Precision Shops for being our provider. If you want to go find yourself with some great looking 3D printed items and you want a discount, remember to use the promo code WSSR at checkout for 10% off on any orders over $50. Thank you so much to all of our amazing sponsors. Richard, we're in our final 10 laps, 9 to go. Some drivers can't wait for this race to be over, but others cannot wait to see victory lane. Thomas Green has looked good, but sadly it looks like Obi DiCarlo going to be hit with a drive-through penalty. Black flag for the 22.
Man, there it is. Probably one of our first black flag drive-throughs for too many incident points. Unfortunate to see for DiCarlo. He's been having a pretty good season, also doing really well in a lot of these races, and he's going to be the first one to have to get that drive-through, so unfortunate to see. But, whoa, Nick Crawford turned completely sideways on the front stretch, nose first into the wall.
Worst contact you could look for, and maybe would hope that it was the rear end that would loop around, but not the case. Front nose contact. As you see here, Larry Yingling goes high, trying to defend for position. This was for 9th place, and Crawford makes the pass cleanly, but not able to get on the brakes as cleanly as he would hope. Just overcorrects on the speed and right into the outside wall. Hard contact for himself. No required damage, but a massive loss of time.
It was not the hardest of hits he could have had. Still some damage on that front end, so it's going to affect the aero a little bit, but just went a little too hot into that chicane area there on the front stretch, and the car just wanted to turn right. That is another big issue you see with these cars in that front chicane, and just wants to turn right going into those turns. But could have been a lot worse for Nick Crawford, able to get it backed up, get it back out on track, and keep on going. Unfortunate to see for him, but still able to race.
As seen Douglas Newbegin, 13th position for the 7, as he's coming off of his moments of seeing drivers have troubles after his contact with Cody Reed, who's called it an evening and will finish 26th here this evening. Douglas Newbegin, a driver that we always talk about, there's such a high ceiling of potential for Douglas. It's just, when will this full season come around for himself? It doesn't really feel like this is the season, for the regular season at least, that he's been looking for, but he's not out of reach of the playoffs for himself, as the 7 finds himself being tied just outside the cut line in 17th with Brian P. Johnson. And where Brian P. Johnson runs in 6th place, this isn't that battle you're looking for. But Richard, you know, for Douglas, he's just 2 races away. If he can find a good speed these next 2 races, he could be hunting for a playoff push.
He definitely could, and Douglas Newbegin is a very fast driver. It's just he always finds himself in small mistakes that ruins his run, and I think he just overdrives the exits. A lot of the times I've noticed that just on the exit of the turns, and he gets himself loose. So if he could just clean up some small mistakes that he makes, he can easily be a contender for the playoffs, even advancing into the next couple of rounds of it as well. But he's still got 2 races to make it work, and he's still trying to figure out what position he can finish out here to try and make his way into that top 16 as we ride along now with Zach Hall.
And the reason why Hall pitted, he is gotten by Brian McCann. He is 17 seconds back from Thomas Green, and I'm starting to see the numbers swinging. John Forbes, Jared Talmadge, they backed off massively. They were within 2 seconds of Thomas Green. I thought Green was just on rails and he was driving away from the field and no one was going to stop him. I think that was a fuel conservation move by the 1 and the 27. They had been catching up to Thomas Green, who is backed off on his pace by over 2 seconds. I think we got Nightmare Fuel trying to play the games of we're not pitting. We're going to try to stretch the fuel out, and this 31 is doing everything in his power to make it to the end of this race. Doesn't look like a pit stop is going to be the call for our top 3.
A minute and 24-second lap. He is babying every inch of that car, trying to make every drop of fuel last at the end of the race. This is not a strategy I would have bet money on tonight. These guys trying to make 40 laps out of this tank of fuel here at the Roval. But Zach Hall, who's got a full tank of fuel when he pit, he is just trying to burn down those tires and catch these guys. He's putting on 2 seconds a lap faster than them. So Zach Hall still has a very potential chance of catching. I mean, the laps are going to dwindle really quick, but I mean, it's there. The chance is there. Just will he be able to put enough time down with Thomas Green almost 2 seconds slower or more each lap trying to save fuel?
I think Hall, I mean, if we keep at this pace that all of these 4 drivers are running, the pace that we're seeing from this fuel saving of our top 3, and the pace that we're seeing from Zach Hall, who's trying to put down burner lap after burner lap, it will be the Nightmare Fuel drivers with the advantage. They should be able to stay ahead by at least a second or 2 over Zach Hall, but it could come to a problem if you get too many yield penalties, which John Forbes just completed. The 1's got to be careful not to get too many penalties, as he's trying everything in his power to run down this 31 right now, as now it's 2 seconds the difference between Thomas Green and John Forbes that last lap.
Huge time swing for those 2, and John Forbes, he's definitely got to care for that resource of those incident points. You keep cutting the track, you build those up, you don't want to drive through. But the biggest question is, will these guys be able to make it on fuel? This is where Zach Hall can definitely benefit. If these guys run out of fuel, Zach Hall will be the leader and potential winner of this race if he keeps his car clean and straight. But he's got a 10-second lead over Brian P. Johnson as well, so he's got a buffer behind him. He's just got to put down as fast laps as he possibly possibly can to try to catch these guys, but time is running out, and I think these Nightmare Fuel guys have enough fuel to potentially make it to the rest of this race.
I mean, I'm seeing it from Forbes and Jared Talmadge. I think they feel like they're good on time to make it. Hall has got to pick up the pace and really run down second and third place runners at this moment. Thomas Green is being caught. That once 10-second gap lead over Jared Talmadge and also John Forbes, it's gone. It's now down to 2 seconds, the difference between first and our second and third, as these two are battling back and forth. I think that's the last thing you want to do with Zach Hall just a mere 7 seconds back. If you make a mistake, if you make too many errors, that 32 is going to be back on your bumper.
32 is hoping these guys make mistakes as he's trying to catch them, but a huge hit into the wall for John Forbes. That car is broke. He is crab walking, it looked like. John Forbes, massive hit into that outside wall coming back onto the front stretch. It actually looks like the car is fine, but that was a huge hit for the one car.
I mean, John Forbes might be a cat out there on track. This guy, I feel like every race, he's got 9 lives. He either avoids a wreck, he's gotten in the wall multiple times here tonight, and he's still running great pace. Doesn't look like the damage is hard enough to where he has to relinquish second, continues to fight forward, but certainly a scare as Hall, with 4 laps to go, this is the number he likes to see. He's now within 7 seconds of our leader and within 5 of this battle for second place.
He's within 5 seconds, but he's still not getting the time he needs to catch them because the time is dwindling down. We are down to 4 laps to go, and Jared Talmadge able to get around John Forbes here as they go through the bus stops, but John Forbes is not giving up. He's trying to make a move on Talmadge.
And that's that battle I was talking about. Do you just give up this position? Do you let your teammate race for the win? Or do you hold them back, which will hurt all of you? Zach Hall is continuing to run in the 1 minute and 21 second window. You're stuck in the 1 minute and 22. Forbes gets by Talmadge. Thomas Green, a little bit of struggle through the final chicane. And our top 3, all within a second of one another. Hall crosses the line. He's within 4 seconds. It is go time between our top 4. Is it Nightmare Fuel throwing this race away, or can Hall run him down with 3 laps to go?
And that is the biggest question right now. Nightmare Fuel now all nose to tail. Will these guys race each other hard to try to get that win? John Forbes with 4 wins on the season. I just don't see that being a smart team decision for him to try to waste for this win. But Talmadge is giving him the bumper. He's trying to make a move and get him out of the way to get around him. Not able to make the move. Forbes still in front, but Talmadge, a great run as he takes the turn back onto the main speedway, and they are side by side almost, but he clears him going into speedway turn 1.
And Forbes into the wall again. That's a massive contact. No required damage for himself, but that is the contact that you need to see with your Zach Hall. That gives you time, gives you opportunities. You now see your competition ahead of you. Those 3 drivers, that's your competition. The only problem, you're about to be coming up to 2 laps to go, and that wiggle is not helping you. Doesn't even have enough tires underneath him for Hall because he's putting burner after burner lap. He set the fastest lap of the day on this set of tires. But is it going to be Nightmare Fuel just throwing it away because they're still on top of one another? 2 laps to go. Is it Hall or is it Nightmare Fuel?
Nightmare Fuel in domination of this race. Zach Hall has just got to keep putting down fast laps, but he's got to do it safely. He's still putting down seconds faster than the guys up front, 2.5 seconds back. The striking distance is there. Zach Hall is within a chance to win this race, but he's got to keep that pace up. But the pace for Nightmare Fuel has picked up. Talmadge now on the bumper of Thomas Green, looking for the win for himself for his first win here in Nightmare Fuel, as he's got a big old lunge forward to Thomas Green as they get ready to take this turn back onto the main speedway.
The problem, you got a lap and a half, but from our point of view, the question is, do you have the fuel for our top 3? We know the tires are there for Hall. The fuel is there for Hall. The time is what the problem is. We have a lap and a half to go. Does Thomas Green get out of the way for Jared Talmadge, or do they bicker and fight back and forth? Over the turtle goes Green. Talmadge not able to get by. That slowdown for the 27. He is not able to take off and go. Hall within a second now of our top 3. He's on top of locked on Forbes. Forbes, if you can block, defend, hold back that 32, you can give your teammates a chance. Hall, one lap, one chance. It's your white flag here tonight for the Roval Showdown presented by SG Racing. It's go time for Hall. He's got to pass 3 drivers in 1 lap. Will he get by Forbes, or will Forbes block and defend? Hall trying to get to the inside. Forbes stays wide. Hall hits contact. Get out of the way, Forbes. Hall wants the win, but he overcooks the corner. He'll lose time there. Now going to be a 2.5 back, and Richard, it might just be down to the teammates.
It might be down to teammates of Talmadge and Green, but Zach Hall still has speed under that 32 machine. He just bullied his way past John Forbes, who was trying to block and keep him behind. But Talmadge going to look again to challenge Green. This could be the mistake that Zach Hall needs as they go to the back stretch. Where will the mistake happen? Green looks like he's out of fuel. No, he just gets he's out of fuel. Talmadge makes the pass, and now Zach Hall coming down. But Talmadge could squeak away with this win if Hall does not get around Green fast enough.
Green just completely gives up on the chicane. He'll stay to the outside. Hall, though, he is finding himself closing in on the gap. He's a second back. Thomas Green does not there. No fuel for himself. Jared Talmadge, he doesn't have the fuel. Hall sneaks by. Final chicane. Hall overcooks it. Talmadge gets through into the wall. Who's going to have the time? They both slow down, and it's Hall at the line. Hall, no, black flag. Where will it be? It's Hall. Hall gets it at the line.
Zachary Hall coming up the winner of tonight in a last lap dramatic showdown. Cuts the course a little bit on that final turn, but the slowdown was not enough to give Talmadge the win. Zachary Hall locked into the playoffs here in season 11.
Where did they all fall apart? Here's the replay and how it happened. Hall for the Millennium Cam. He's trying to run down. At this moment, he's a 2.5 back of these two. Thomas Green runs out of fuel. He'll go wide. Hall needs a good exit out of the corner. Talmadge goes a little bit too wide, and he's going to find himself trying to accelerate. But coming out of the oval turn 4, Jared Talmadge starts to see the fluttering. Not enough fuel. The 32 bearing down on the outside, locking up on the brakes is Hall. And here's the issue. Hall has to slow down. He has to yield. Talmadge is out of fuel, and Hall can accelerate.
Oh man, Jarrett Talmadge running out of fuel is what saved Zach Hall on that final slowdown. Zach Hall, oh, little bit of luck there, but Nightmare Fuel did everything they could to make their name true, to save the fuel, to be a nightmare of this race. But Zach Hall, the dream came true. No nightmare for Zach as he takes the win and moves on to the playoffs for this season.
What a run, what a charge. And last week, the biggest mover in points finally got inside of the top 20 and now can say he is a winner. The championship curse from 2 seasons ago is gone. Let him enjoy this one as Hall burns it down. We will step away. When we come back, we'll talk to the disappointment of Nightmare Fuel and the elation of Hall. We'll be back right after this for the post-race show. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show here for the WSSR VRS Cup Series Season 11, Race 10. The Roval Showdown certainly gave us a show, as the Roval Showdown is presented by SG Racing. Go check out Samuel Garcia's great racing point of view. As I know, tonight was not the night he was hoping for, but go check out SG Racing today. We bring in the driver who had to make the march, took the drive, made the pit stop that mattered, and had the tires underneath them to get there at the end. We are here in Victory Lane with the 32 of Zach Hall. Zach, where did that come from, and how are you feeling after that incredible race to the end?
I am mind blown. I can't believe this, man. That was wild. I could have probably did a lot better to make it easier on myself and catch them earlier, but I knew they were going to be close on fuel. I thought about the fuel strategy of saving, and I knew when I caught John there at the end of that first stint before I pit, I was like, yeah, he's saving fuel. So I knew I had to really push when I got back out there on new tires, and I felt like the tracking just got better too. So I was like, all right, this is going to be an advantage for me to really gain. And I didn't think it was possible for, I was kind of settled for about third or fourth for about 10 to go. And then I got some messages from people like, yeah, it's going to be close, I think, for them. And I was like, all right, I got to start pushing more. And I made mistakes. I got held up a little bit. I mean, there was so many trials and tribulations right there going through that. And I knew when I took the white flag there, when I caught John, I was like, I can't play around. I mean, contact had to be made. I couldn't wait. I knew that if I got held up behind him for more than a couple like corners, then I was going to have no shot with those two ahead. And I didn't even know if they were going to really, run out of fuel. I was thinking they were going to make it because they started, it felt like the push again, but I mean, I was right there. So it makes sense why they started to push. So I don't know, man. That was, one of the most like breathtaking moments. I even got to slow down in there coming across the line. And luckily he's out of fuel. So I could jab the brake, get the slow down going, get back across the line. And as I do that, this is crazy to say, and even some of the guys in the room can attest to this, you can hear my throttle pedal snap as I go across the line trying to press the gas. So I was pushing the pedal to the metal, as they would say.
Well, a fantastic finish of that race, and breathless racing for you, and it was breathless announcing for us. You made that final few laps of that race exciting, Zach. And I mean, how does it feel to finally get a win and advance yourself to the playoffs here in season 11?
Oh man, that I came in tonight and I was like, big points night. I knew road courses, it was a good chance for me, and I just completely botched qualifying, completely messed my lap up. I mean, I was 2/10 up on my best lap in practice going into the corner I messed up. So I really was mad at myself. I knew that I kind of threw it all away there, and I kind of focused on, okay, get as many stage points as we can, get as good a finish as we can, because I've been kind of chipping away at those point standings. And man, finally just to break through and get this is a big weight off the shoulders. Now we got to stay, of course, in the top 25. I think this will push me pretty far ahead of that. So this is a big weight off my shoulders, especially with some of the tracks coming up. You never know what's going to play out with these final two races at Wilkesboro and Talladega. So to get a win here tonight, I mean, it was amazing. And also just a road course win here is really tough. There's so many good guys here. I don't even know that. Remember the last time I won one. It's just really been a really long trial to get here. And I'm so happy to finally get this W under my belt this season.
I mean, it certainly has been a while, Zach. Looking at that final lap, you talked about you knew you were going to have a chance to catch up to at least Forbes. When you got up to that one, you kind of had to use them up. Was there any mindset of, I'm just going for this position? Or did the conversation with Forbes' interview last week kind of influence the fact that he said, bring it on, race the way that I've been racing on that pass?
I knew John would take it well, because he's that type of guy. He's gonna give it out, but he'll take it, and that's what at least that's the best thing about him is, yeah, you might think the moves he does are over the line, and some people are not going to agree with it, but he'll take it back and take it like a man, I guess you could say. So, I mean, I really messed up there. I bumped him, and I was trying to get him upset out of the way there, and when I went to go into 3 there, I knew if I just didn't get like a nose ahead, I'd have a problem. And I locked the right front right when I went to go turn in. And I was like, man, this is big trouble here. I'm going to slam him into the wall, or both of us, and wreck us both. Luckily, it didn't end up ruining our nights. So I'm glad he didn't end up, junked out of it. But yeah, I knew I had to do everything. I play way too nice and respectful every single race, and I knew there's not many chances you get the win here anymore. So I was like, you know what? I got to race how they're going to go for it too. So I had to go for it, man. And I'm proud of myself for actually doing it, and not just, back it out and saying, I'll wait. I wasn't the patient route like I usually am. And, kind of went through there. I think I'll get an incident point on the incident chart for that, causing that, and kind of slamming him in the wall, but it's going to be well worth it with the W.
Well, Zach, congratulations on winning the Roval Showdown presented by SG Racing. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any other shout-outs.
Well, yeah, shout out to the guys up front. I mean, they were doing an excellent job to save the fuel, run the tires the way they did. I mean, just hearing some of the tire wear from Jarrett, he was very impressive. I was super impressed with him and Tom. Like, they were probably the two class of the field. I mean, I'm sure Vinny would have been right there with him, and John was saving fuel, so I didn't really get to see, how his pace was, with them pushing. So definitely a great race between those three. Got to give them a congratulations and thank you for not being too upset for me being a bull in a china shop there to get that win. Shout out to all the sponsors. I can't name them all. It's that big a race win. Shout out to you guys up in the booth. Shout out to my teammates. Shout out to my girlfriend Caitlin out there if she's watching. And man, I'm just so excited to see what's next now as we're going to go to the playoffs.
Well, Zach, you were curious on your last road win. It was season 9 doubleheader night at Daytona road course when you took the win there and took the official points that night. And that was last year, July 9th, when you got it done. Congratulations. It might be a year later, but what a special win it was. Congratulations on this win, and good luck next week at North Wilkesboro.
Thanks, guys. You have a great night.
You too. That is your victor here of the Roval Showdown presented by SG Racing. Again, go check out Samuel Garcia's channels on all of his socials. We head down to second place. From the highs to the almost. We've got Jared Talmadge with us, second place here tonight. But Jared, I mean, what a high to start the night off. Got the pole by 1/1000th of a second over John Forbes. It kind of went downhill immediately when we went green, but how are you feeling coming away second after an incredible recovery run for yourself and making the fuel strategy run almost work?
I mean, considering from turn 1 onward, I feel pretty good. I did the most embarrassing thing you could probably do from pole, and no pressure into turn 1. We put it right in the barriers. Luckily, it wasn't a lot of damage. It did hurt through the infield, though. It didn't really like the turn. Yeah, I started saving fuel a lot later than I think like John, and I know Tom started way later than all of us. And I think just kind of not being able to turn through the infield really helped me save more fuel. And I don't know. In the end, I guess we got pulled by the slimmest of margins, and we lost the race by the slimmest of margins.
Well, Jared, has been an impressive run for you this season. Seeing the improvements you have made has been on Nightmare Fuel. Have they been great teachers and people for you to learn from each and every week? Seeing how much you've improved.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you have two of the best people in the league on your team with Vinny and John, and then Tom's really been killing it this season too. Kind of like I think I said in previous interviews, we kind of just bounce off each other with information and learn from one another to go faster. And I think you saw it there. I know Vinny had his troubles with getting wrecked twice, and obviously the other three finished up there with the fuel strategy. But I mean, before that, we were 1, 2, 3, 4 there for 1 point, I think. So I think it just shows that we're all bringing speed and we're all performing to what we expect to do as a team.
You sir guys certainly are the team to watch out for each and every week. We've got 2 more races left in the regular season here, Jarrett, before we head into the playoffs. North Wilkesboro, Talladega. I know next week's going to be a tough task, and then you got the team factor at Talladega that should assist you guys. What is the confidence level for yourself, though, for these next 2 races to try to set up for the playoffs?
I mean, I guess after this, it's good. I mean, I'm usually pretty bad at road courses. If I know you broadcast the truck league that at Road America, I saw the gravel trap about 15 times in the span of 5 laps. So I mean, to come away exactly a tenth away from a win here is pretty good. And like, I don't know, I'm not the greatest at short tracks, but I mean, it is North Wilkesboro, so I'm sure we'll have plenty of opportunity to go back to the back and back to the front there with the cautions. Like you said, Talladega is kind of just a team game. So I mean, it's just going to be who plays the best team game, and then at the end, probably who avoids the wreck. So we'll see if we can't get lucky. We got lucky once on a plate track in this league, and maybe it'll strike twice.
I mean, we are hoping for the best for you guys out there. Jared, it was amazing to watch you guys save the fuel and be there at the end. Just coming up, like I said, 1/10 off from victory. Before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any other shout outs.
Shout out to you guys, put on the broadcast, everybody who runs the league. Shout out to Zach for making that strategy work too, of pitting and running us down and doing it clean down there in the final chicane, not taking me off the track with them, and rejoining pretty safe too. So I appreciate that. Shout out to my teammates, Vinny, Tom, and John for being great teammates.
Well, that'll be your second place finisher here tonight for the Roval Showdown presented by SG Racing. The 27 of Jarrett Talmadge almost coming away with the victory with no hits about to be coming for this 27. The question is when. Jarrett, congratulations on this finish and good luck next week at North Wilkesboro.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
As we move from second place, we go down to third to talk to the driver who has been on top the most here this season and finds himself coming away third here tonight. We've got the one machine of John Forbes Jr. John, we're seeing on the replay, it seemed like it was a rough evening on that final chicane for yourself, but besides that final chicane, how are you feeling coming away third here tonight?
Yeah, I came in tonight. I had done a little bit of practice earlier in the week, and it was going okay. I think the track conditions I had set up in my practice session, they were a lot hotter because I got in tonight. I'm like, oh, the car drives really good now. So that was actually like a big confidence boost because I've been practicing in hotter weather. So got in here, got a good qualifying effort. It was a decent lap, but I gave up a little bit of time in a few sections, and Jarrett got the pole. And then going into turn one, Jarrett overshot, and I almost wrecked myself trying to avoid him. So it was pretty sketchy, but overall, super fun to have speed tonight. But just the way they had the lap set up, it was like, okay, do you want to save or do you want to pit? So that's kind of the question I was asking myself early. I had the lead. I'm like, do I want to go as hard as I can or just kind of manage the gap? So I decided to kind of do a little bit of both. I really didn't have my mind made up. So I didn't want to like overrun the tires at the beginning of the race or cook the fuel out of it. So I'm just going to maintain my pace. And then a few laps went by and I realized, okay, I'm saving a little bit more. I saw I was only 2 laps short on fuel at that time. So I was like, okay, I think it's possible. And I figured some of the guys that started in the back, like Nick Crawford and a few of the guys that usually like to save when there's a chance to do it, I thought they were going to do that. So I was like, I don't want them to undercut me at the end of the race and then they steal the win. So I was like, I want to be on the front end of that strategy. So from there, Thomas got by me, Jared got by me. I was kind of biding my time, really saving. I let them get up to a huge lead. And then they kind of started to realize a little bit later, like, oh, okay, we're not going to make it. We got to save big too. So at that point, I had a little bit of an advantage on them. So we had a good battle there for a while. But then there was just a few laps to go. And Jared was like, yeah, Zach is catching like 2 seconds lap. And we were like, oh, he's going to catch us on the white flag. So from there, we were just trying to push, but our tires were just done at that point. So we're doing our best while still like being on the number on fuel. So yeah, it was super fun. Probably would have had a shot at the win, but Zach I wasn't trying to block him, but the tires weren't turning going into turn one, like through the first few corners. So I was trying to get out of his way, and then I gave him the inside, and of course he locked out, got into us. But I'm just super happy I didn't spin out, because if I did, I would have cost myself too much fuel, and I wouldn't have crossed the finish line probably. So I'm glad I was able to hang on to it, come across the finish line third tonight. Super cool win for Zach. I know he's kind of had a rough start of the season here. So super cool to see him in victory lane. Jared had a great run tonight. Thought he was going to steal that one right at the line when Zach overshot the last corner. So yeah, I know what that was like. I was overshooting that all night long, making some mistakes. So yeah, the new tire models really made it's kind of less like GT3 cars now. You're actually trying to push as hard as you can without making a mistake, and it's really easy to overstep that. So it was really fun to see just all the, I'm sure for you guys in the booth too, seeing all the mistakes and us just trying to hang on to these cars. So super fun all night.
Yeah, it was an impressive strategy call from you guys at Nightmare Fuel to make the fuel last all 40 laps here. Not very often do you get to see that, but you guys pulled it off. And, last week you brought the invitation up, you race people hard and you expect to be raced the same way. And Zach did exactly that on the last lap. Did you, even after, he got you sideways a little bit, did you think you were still going to be able to squeak out that third from your teammate Thomas Green when he ran out of fuel?
Yeah, when I saw him run out, and I knew he was running hard, obviously, because he had like a 15-second lead on us by about halfway through the race. So then he got to the point, we didn't really talk about it as a team. Like, we were all joking, like, oh, what's your fuel looking like? What are you going to do for your strategy? So we were all very secretive about that. We were all just running our own race. So I figured Thomas was going to have to pit at some point because he ran so hard for so long. But for him to get as close as he did, that was super impressive. But yeah, I knew there was no way he was going to be able to make it. So I knew going down the back. At that point, I'm like, I knew I was close too. So, and I had been saving since like lap 14 basically. So I knew he was going to be in some trouble. And then I saw him out and he was talking like, yeah, I'm out of fuel. So it's like, cool, I'll pick that spot up. But yeah, like I said, just super happy to hang on to the car when I got loose, and I just perfectly caught the end of the wall where it kind of straightened me out, and then from there I was just wheeling it back and forth and got it straight, and yeah, basically ran out coming into the last set of corners, the last chicane, ran out right there and was able to coast it to the line. So and I saw them battling up front too. I'm like, oh, please rack, please spin out and let me get this one. But yeah, they held it together. So super cool finish for everyone watching too.
Well, John, we are closing in quickly here to the playoffs. Just 2 more races before we start our first round. What are you hoping to learn in these next 2 races? Or do you feel like it's strictly just get bonus points on these next 2 races before the playoffs start?
Yeah, for me, I mean, the whole season I knew I'm going to be missing some races and stuff. Just have a lot of big plans personally and stuff going on, big moves. So that's taking place next week. So I won't be here next week, but I should very well be there for the season finale. I think it's at Talladega, or maybe that's season opener. Maybe I have that wrong. But just trying to get as many playoff points as I can. That was the motto coming into the season. That's kind of what we've been doing. We've won basically half the races this season. So and had another great shot tonight. So like I said, I'm here to just learn a lot, try moves, have fun, and just hang out with my boys. So that's just what the motto has been this season. But I think we're going to get a little bit more serious when the playoffs start. And yeah, just super happy to see the team and everything doing well. But I got to give one out for Vincent too. That was going to be an awesome race. Us and Drew all racing together at the beginning. So I was really excited. I'm like, we're going to be side by side battling the whole race. Who knows what's going to happen with the strategy and stuff later on. But then they made contact, so that was unfortunate. It kind of ended Vinny's night. So yeah, I was looking forward to battling him, so that kind of sucked. But overall, super fun, super good team points night. I'm glad Thomas was able to coast to a P5 to keep extending our points lead. So yeah, just looking forward to getting back here in a couple weeks.
Well, we're going to miss you tomorrow, but before we let you go here tonight, the floor is now yours for any other shout outs.
Yes, I think absolutely Nightmare Fuel for the awesome run tonight. And I got to thank you guys for the broadcast. Justin for the awesome paints. Go hit him up at Gridless Graphics. I'm sure we're going to have something cooked up for the playoffs here. So, yeah, just looking forward to getting back in a couple weeks and getting this playoff started.
Well, it was a fun one to watch there at the end, John. Congratulations on a top 3 finish, and good luck when you return at Talladega for the regular season finale.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
You too. As we move from our top 3, we go down to 5th. We continue with talking with Nightmare Fuel drivers because their strategy call almost got them all to victory lane. Coming out of turn 2, oval to turn 2. It was Thomas Green who almost had the fuel to make it to the end, but Thomas, it just wasn't the case. You come away 5th here tonight. How are you feeling, though, after your performance this evening and leading the most laps of tonight?
Yeah, it's always a little disappointing when you feel like you could maybe get a win and have a really dominant car and then just lose it right at the end. But to take the white flag and not be the winner, it really sucks. But hats off to Zach. That was a phenomenal drive by him. That was really cool to see. I guess you can say these cars were freaky fast tonight, because once the freaky fast cars got in the lead, I don't think anyone else saw it. So yeah, just unfortunate. I was back and forth on the strategy throughout the run. To start the race, I thought it was a guarantee pit, and I just started pushing and trying to get out as far as I could to have a gap. Once I realized, with team communications that saving was the call, I started doing everything I could, but it just wasn't enough. I mean, we got really close. We got to the backstretch, but I knew I probably wasn't going to have anything with like 4 to go, 5 to go. But I was just trying to give it hell to the wind and hope that we could maybe save that little bit of fuel for a miracle win. But Having a win in the playoffs having a win and being locked into the playoffs allows me to be able to just kind of do stuff like that and not really worry if we were to throw a race away, because we can try to go out and just win races until the playoffs. And I tried everything I could, but unfortunately it just wasn't enough. But we still somehow coasted our way from the backstretch to the front stretch and finished 5th. So that to me is a win. I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah, fantastic work for you guys as well, Thomas. I mean, that was great work. It was a little questionable what you were doing. As we saw the lap times, and you were at one point like 8.5 seconds ahead of your teammates. So you were definitely pushing. We thought it was just you had that much more speed in the tires. But with this being the last road course for this season, are you at any specific race you're looking forward to the rest of the season playoffs or the regular season?
It's tough to say. I mean, I like North Wilkesboro. I've had a lot of speed there. I like short tracks in general, so I feel like that could be definitely one to kind of circle. But my absolute favorite track is definitely Chicagoland of the upcoming tracks, and Indy as well. But Chicagoland, Charlotte, Iowa, those are 3 of my absolute best, most successful tracks that I have on the service. So I'm looking forward to that stretch, and hopefully that's where I'll be able to make gains and really capitalize on just overall speed.
Well, it certainly is a good stretch of tracks to have, as that will be our first 3 races of the playoffs. I mean, I got to say, Thomas, this was impressive to watch the speed that you had here tonight, taking the gamble with the fact that you've got so strong a teammates around you heading into the playoffs. We heard from John, you guys were trying to be a little bit secretive on your strategies that you were making. Do you feel like that you guys being a little bit secretive is going to continue into the playoffs, or will there be any team aspect to help each other get to each and every round once we get to the playoffs starting here in a couple of weeks?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's I think more of you got to worry about your own race first as an individual driver. You definitely want to help your teammates as much as you can along the way, but you just can't let that consume your race. And yeah, maybe you don't want to give away too much of what you have. I don't think you obviously don't want to hurt your teammates, but you want to help them in any way you can, but you also don't want to screw yourself. And like you said, this team is just super fast. Like any given race, any 4 of us have a shot at winning, and that's something to definitely take pride in. But I was wondering the same. Like, we have such a good team, but how is it gonna work when we get later in the season when we're all racing around each other and we're all trying to win and all that? But we're all close, so I feel like we'll be okay. I feel like we've all raced around each other so much, so we kind of know when to push, when not to push. But yeah, strategy wise, we're never really super talkative on exactly when we're going to pit and exactly what we're doing and why. Occasionally we'll help each other, but yeah, we're just not totally 100% giving out what we're doing. Like, even there, I wasn't sure if you can't always trust them 100% if they're telling the truth. Not that I don't trust them, but being the leader and being so far ahead, I thought of maybe 5 different things I could have done there because I wasn't sure what I was going to be able to do to try to win it. But yeah, it's tough. But you can't dwell on it too much as far as teammates goes. You got to worry about your individual race at the end of the day and try to get some success for you.
Well, us being biased up at the booth, we love seeing that freaky fast machine up there up front. It was awesome to see you up there, Thomas, leading all of those laps. But before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any other shout outs.
I want to say shout out to Zach for getting the win. That was an awesome win. Really cool to see him in victory lane. Shout out to my team for having a lot of really good speed, really fast speed this week. And big shout out to my girlfriend, Anna, for all love and support. I love you very much. And big shout out to you guys for broadcasting.
Well, thank you for giving us such a great show to call. That'll be 5th place finisher of Thomas Green in the 31 Freaky Fast Racing Machine. Thomas, congrats on this, and good luck next week at North Wilkesboro.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
As that will finish up our interviews here tonight. We're about to take a look at our unofficial results of this evening. What a race, what a finish. I know all the drivers in Discord are freaking out with the way that race went down, and Obviously, one of the league favorites, Zach Hall, getting back into victory lane. It's been quite a while since he's been able to do that, but happy to say he's been able to do it here for season 11, propelling himself with this win in the last 2 races. He has got up 9 positions in the points, and he is now officially inside of the top 16 based off of points. This win locks him into the playoffs if he stays inside of the top 25. Second goes to Jared Talmadge. Once again, a what-if scenario. This 27 has been close. We know a win's right around the corner. Just was not tonight for Talmadge. John Forbes going to take third. Ryan P. Johnson, what a charge by this 28. He's able to make his tires work to move up to fourth. Thomas Green takes fifth. 6 goes to Chris Stitz, who gets a top 10. Oh, you love to see that from the Storm Motorsports drivers. Larry Yingling comes away 7th. Drew Jua 8th. 9th is Nico Garcia, which Nico Garcia going to be our Whiplash SimCam's biggest mover of the race. Congratulations to the 71, and finishing out our top 10, it's the 7 of Douglas Newbigging.
Yeah, fantastic work by that top 10. Just great moves by a lot of them. Brian McCann up there finishing in the 12th position. Shane Terrian recovering from his EOL, finishing 13th as well. And Ollie Fonseca, another strong finish for him in 14th. Unfortunate races, though, for that of Ryan Kelly and Vincent Sora. Both of them having issues where they had to get damage repaired, put them on pit road way longer than they were hoping for, and that's what cost them major time and major positions for this race. So unfortunate to see for them, and a lot of great drivers having a great race for themselves tonight as well.
Multiple different strategy calls for drivers, and ultimately it was taking tires, making sure you were packed full of fuel that got it done at the end of the day for Zach Hall. For us up in the booth, though, this was an incredible race to call. We got more great racing to give you throughout the week as we are back to giving you more BRB Racing League coverage on Tuesday night next week. And then we are back here for North Wilkesboro, the second to last race of the regular season. Drivers are ready for short track racing. Again, we're going to be missing a few. Heard John Forbes isn't here, so who could step up and try to go for another win? Can't wait for it, but for us up at the booth, I mean, any final calls for yourself, Richard, as we're about to be calling it an evening?
I'll just say that was a fantastic race to call for the last 5 laps. The rest of the race was also a lot of excitement considering a road course, but that chase down from Zach Hall, nightmare fueled, making the decision to save fuel and not pit at all during that race. It was awesome to see such different strategy calls and such different racing styles all collide at the end for a photo finish, basically. But great work from Zach Hall, taking home his first win of the season and advancing to the playoffs for himself.
A great run, great steal at the end. Congratulations to Zach Hall. And for us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you for joining with us on your Wednesday night. For myself, Sam Dyer, for Richard Wolsifer, for Robert Moyer Jr., and everyone else that helps out here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you again for spending your Wednesday evening seeing the call of the WSSR VRS Cup Series Race 10, the Roval Showdown, presented by SG Racing, goes to the 32 of Zach Hall. Also want to say thank you to the major sponsors of the WSSR Cup Series. VRS, that's the Virtual Racing School, GTR Simulators, Trophy Smack, Sim Precision Prints, and our camera provider here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, Whiplash SimCams. Thank you so much for joining with us on one of the best finishes of the season. Hall going from 4th to 1st in 1 lap, has the fuel, has the tires, and somehow had the time to slow down there at the end to finish by 1/10 over Jared Talmadge. It was a spectacular finish, and we can't wait to see more. Next week, we head to North Wilkesboro, but if you can't wait until then, we'll see you Tuesday night for the BRB Butt Kicker Cup Series as they head to Indianapolis for their next race on the schedule. We will see you Tuesday night for our next Freaky Fast broadcast.